Hello class. Okay, so in this video I'm gonna begin with introduction to criminal laws in India, and this is the second chapter only. What do we understand by crime? The term crime denotes an unlawful act, and this unlawful act is punishable by a state. State is by the society or by the court of law. And I told you a very a very famous term related to crimes is IPC, in which for various crimes are mentioned, and punishments or fines for that crime is also mentioned in IPC, Indian Penal Code. Before the merging of Jammu and Kashmir state into India, obviously it was a part of India only, but after abrogation of Article 370, the special status associated with that state was taken away, and with that there was Ranbir Penal Code in Jammu and Kashmir. Ranbir Penal Code in Jammu and Kashmir, and there the crimes and all were punishable by this law, Ranbir Penal Code. But now, after it is submerged and Article 370 is removed, IPC is only applicable there also. So it's now in all over the nation. Earlier, Jammu and Kashmir had a special status and a special law book of its own, that was Ranbir Penal Code. Okay. So, see, crime is a very common term that we say in our daily lives. You may have heard about various crimes. I don't need to explain it into great depths, because I guess everybody know this term crime, and what all things can be under the category of crime, that also we know. Murder, robbery, dacoity, corruption, bribery, even taking dowry is considered to be a crime, but then too it is happening. Auto theft, assault, rape. Okay, so all these are crimes. So crime is somewhat which is forbidden or which is unlawful, and if a person is committing this unlawful act, then he will get a certain amount of punishment. Crime as a concept is so broad that there is no single universally accepted definition to it. So crime is generally an unlawful act which is punishable by law, and it is so broad because we cannot say, see, there are various categories, various types of crimes that are committed, so there is no stick or universally accepted or a single definition of crime. But for sake of convenience, several countries provide statutory definitions of various kinds of unlawful activities which can be identified as crimes. A common principle about criminal law is that unless an activity is prohibited by law, it does not qualify as a crime. So, as I told you, crime is something, an act which is prohibited or forbidden by law. So, if there is an act or if there is a wrong committed which is forbidden by law, which is prohibited by law, then that activity can be qualified as crime, otherwise not. Incidents of crime hurt not only individual but the state also. State is society. As I told you when we were doing torts, that tort is a civil law, and crime comes in criminal law. So crime is committed not only against a single person but against the whole society. That's why their public prosecutors are appointed. Right? We saw that in such criminal cases, on behalf of the victim, the government or the state files the suit. And I also told you there is a public prosecutor on behalf of the state to fight the cases in the court. Yes, so Crime is against the whole society, and that society is obviously the nation, not a particular state, but it can be against the nation as well. Some cases are versus Union of India, some cases are versus state of MP or so on. So it may happen that against the whole nation or against the state. Therefore, such acts are forbidden and punishable by law. Body of law which deals with imposing punishments on crimes is called criminal law. Broadly, crimes can be segregated under following categories. Now let's see what all are the categories of crime. Crimes against persons, that are also known as personal crimes, right? Against personal crimes that include murder, aggravated assault. See, assault everybody knows. Aggravated assault can be, or battery can be, when you are beating a person such that he gets a very severe injury. Rape and robbery. Why these are personal crimes? Because murder, a single person or a group of persons are killed. So it's crime against that particular person. Rape is also on a particular person, but crimes are always against the society. These criminal law or crimes are, see, if they are performed on a particular person, that will be personal crimes, but in crimes the government files the suit, because crime is considered to be not only against a single person but against the whole community or the society. Crimes against property include theft of property without bodily harm. If somebody has robbed some of the things, or if a thief arrives at your home and he gets some things and he has not caused any sort of harm or injury to the members of the house who were sleeping there, so no bodily harm has been caused, but there is a theft of property, means some movable property has been taken away. Burglary, larceny, auto theft, arson. Crimes against morality. There are several crimes where there is no bodily harm or any kind of harm to property. Yet, these crimes are deemed as immoral activities and hence are unacceptable. Prostitution, illegal gambling, illegal drug use are examples. Also, crimes against morality are called victimless crimes because more often there is no complainant or victim, and it is generally the state which takes suo motu cognizance of these offences. Now, what is suo motu? By itself, this term is a Latin phrase. Okay, in legal you will various times you will find various legal phrases or idioms, and I have been telling that you have to learn all these legal idioms or phrases. So these can be very important. So victimless crimes are crimes against morality, means they are against the morality or public order. Prostitution, gambling, drug use, all these. See, drug use, like the case which is recently going on, the SSR case, which was actually a murder case and it subsequently got converted into a drug case in which various celebrities, or they were summoned by the CBI and they were questioned that whether they are consuming the drugs or not. So that is against the morality or the public order of the society. And the state, see, CBI is what? State. And the state is taking on itself, it is seeing it as a harmful condition for the society, for the nation, for the public order. So they are considering it to be inappropriate, and based upon that, on themselves they file a case, they fight it, and so that is suo motu. Okay, and they are against, see, a particular victim doesn't file the case that he was taking drugs, so I have suffered this or that injury. But over here, what has happened in the SSR case, as it happened, the CBI or the government on itself got into a probe that who all is involved in the drug case, right? So by themselves they did that. Suo motu cognizance is when by itself the state gets into the probe. A particular person doesn't files the case, but the state does that. Gambling, drug use, all these are examples. Prostitution, if brothel houses are caught that somewhere there was a brothel house which was going on and the prostitution activities were going on, then for that a policeman who has caught that person engaged in prostitution is not going to file the case. Or a particular woman or man which was going through that area where that brothel house was located, he or she is not going to file the case. But as soon as the police gets catch of such things going on, cases are registered, then the government itself takes the cognizance and it registers a case in the courts of law, and then the proceedings go on. White collar crime are generally economic offenses that are committed by people of high social status. Now see why it is white collar, because generally people of high status or the high rank officials, they wear white shirts, right? White coats or white shirts. That's why it is known as white collar crime. So economic offenses, bribery and all, economic offenses which are committed by high rank officials or people of high status, when they commit an economic offense related to some monetary amount, like you don't need to pay some amount of money for getting a leave done, but if an official is forcing you to give certain 1,000 rupees so that he may give you the leave that you are gonna get it, मतलब आपका हक है वो लीव पाना, बट देन टू आप जब तक पैसा नहीं देंगे आपको हम लीव नहीं देंगे, सो दैट इज फोर्सिंग. और ऑब्वियसली कोई हाई रैंक ऑफिशियल ही ये काम करेगा, सो दैट इज अ वाइट कॉलर क्राइम. Examples: embezzling. Embezzling is stealing money from one's employer. Insider trading, tax evasion, and violations of income tax laws. Corruption, bribery, large-scale scams also are white-collar crimes. Organized crime is crime committed by structured groups typically involving distribution of illegal goods and services to others. So organized is something which is well maintained or well structured. So organized crime is one which is committed by a structured or that illegal groups, and they sell or they distribute some goods which are forbidden by law to be sold in that country. Now if I say that there is a group which is selling drugs, not consuming drugs or cocaine is forbidden or prohibited by law. One cannot distribute or consume or buy and sell cocaine, that is a type of drug. So if a person or if a group is involved in distribution of such things, then that is organized crime, right? If that is a structured group and you are distributing something which is prohibited by law, then that is organized crime. And if any other person is doing, not a group, not a structured group, then that would be also a crime, but not organized crime. I hope these things are getting clear. Organized crime is just not restricted to mafias as shown in movies and television series, but the term can refer to any group that exercises control over large illegal enterprises such as drug trade, illegal gambling, prostitution, weapons smuggling, or money laundering. Betting on sports, illegal sale of firearms, hawala transactions are all examples of organized crime. Now, we come on to stages of crime. Any crime has a few key stages to it. Ordinarily, the first two stages, intention and preparation, do not give rise to any form of criminal liability. Now, you see in the adjacent box, we have four stages of crime, that are intention, preparation, attempt, and commission. Intention means I had the intention and knowledge to commit a crime. For example, if I say that there is a person A who doesn't like person B. So now A has an intention that he will kill this person B. Okay, so A has an intention of killing B. Okay, preparation. For that, he goes to a shop and buys a very sharp knife. So he has prepared that with knife I will cut his leg, or I will give him injuries so that the injury will be so grave that on and on he will die. Attempt. Now attempt is when this person A goes near B, takes out the sharp knife that he had bought and attacks on B with an attempt to kill him or cause a grave injury that would in itself result in killing of B. Okay? And when you have attempted, now you have taken out the knife. See, there is a very minute difference between attempting and committing the crime. Okay? Two things are there, two stages: attempt to crime and commission of crime. That is, the crime has been committed, it has been done. Okay, so intention is when you have the intent, जब आप चाहते हो वो चीज़ करना, intention or the knowledge to do a particular thing. Preparation is when you prepare for doing that crime. I have to kill B, so I am going to a shop and buying a sharp knife, or I am going to a shop to buy a gun. So that is when I am preparing for killing B. That is a crime, obviously murder. Attempt. Attempt is when I go near B, or when the person A goes near B, takes out his knife and is ready to now attack. So when he is ready to attack, that is an attempt. And when obviously he had attacked and the person has a severe injury or he has died, as was the intention of A, then that is commission of crime. Also, when a person is ready with his knife and all such things which are needed for the crime to be committed, any such thing which is needed for the crime to be committed, so when he is ready with that article and by mistake, like A is ready to attack B, but by coincidence or by mistake whatsoever, there is no injury or no attack on B, बच जाता है B उस अटैक से, नाइफ के अटैक से, तो वो क्राइम का कमीशन नहीं बनेगा. दैट वुड रिमेन एज एन अटेम्प्ट टू क्राइम. ठीक है, अगर ए अपने नाइफ और उस चीज़ के साथ तैयार है, उसने दूर से, मतलब ज़्यादा दूर डिस्टेंस नहीं था दोनों के बीच, लेकिन फिर भी एक समझ लो कुछ 2 मीटर या 3 मीटर का डिस्टेंस था दोनों के बीच में, और तब ए ने नाइफ फेंक के मारा कि मैं निशाना साधूंगा, और फेंक के मार रहा है वो बी की तरफ, लेकिन बी नीचे झुक जाता है या निशाना चूक जाता है ए का. तो अगर कुछ ऐसी चीज़ें होती हैं तो हम ये नहीं कहेंगे कि क्राइम हो चुका, क्योंकि बी को कोई इंजरी नहीं हुई, तो वो हो जाएगा अटेम्प्ट टू मर्डर, कि उसने वो क्राइम मर्डर करने का एक अटेम्प्ट किया था, कोशिश करी थी. और जब बी पर अटैक हो जाए, जब उसको उस नाइफ से या उस आर्टिकल से कोई इंजरी हो जाए, देन दैट इज, या वो मर जाए, तब कहेंगे कि हाँ मर्डर हो गया, द क्राइम ऑफ मर्डर हैज़ बीन कमिटेड. ठीक है, तो कमिटेड और अटेम्प्ट में ये डिफरेंस है. अगर बच जाता है तो वो अटेम्प्ट रहेगा, चूक गया निशाना या वो झुक गया, सो दैट विल बी अटेम्प्ट टू क्राइम. लेकिन अगर वो मर जाए या उसको इंजरी हो जाए तो हम कहेंगे कि हाँ कुछ हुआ है, समथिंग हैज़ बीन कमिटेड. सो फर्स्ट टू स्टेजेस दैट आर इंटेंशन एंड प्रिपरेशन. मैं मन में सोच रही हूँ कि मेरा मन कर रहा है मैं उस सामने वाले इंसान को जाके मार डालूँ. आई हैव द इंटेंशन, बट जब तक वो चीज़ होगी नहीं ना, जब तक हम उसको कमिट नहीं करेंगे तब तक वो क्राइम नहीं होगा. An action, when you do it, then only it is said to be committed and then only it will be said to be as a crime. तो जब तक मैं उस चीज़ को अटेम्प्ट ना करूं या उसको कमिट ना करूं तब तक हम ये नहीं कहेंगे कि क्राइम हुआ. ठीक है, मन में तो बंदा कुछ भी सोच सकता है और मन में सोचने के लिए पनिशमेंट नहीं मिलती जब तक कि वो क्राइम हुआ ना हो. सो इंटेंशन एंड प्रिपरेशन, प्रिपेयर कर रहे हैं लेकिन हमने वो काम किया नहीं. हम चाकू तो ले आए लेकिन हमने मारा नहीं उससे, हमने अपने घर के काम करने शुरू कर दिए उस चाकू से, या वैसा का वैसा हमने रख दिया, या हम वापस दे आए कि नहीं भैया नहीं चाहिए, गलती हो गई लेके. सो इंटेंशन एंड प्रिपरेशन, दे आर द इनिशियल टू स्टेजेस एंड दे डू नॉट गिव राइज टू एनी सॉर्ट ऑफ क्राइम. This implies that merely having an intention to commit a criminal act is not punishable, nor is making preparation for the same. Liability in criminal law arises when one goes beyond the stage of preparation and attempts to do the forbidden act. What constitutes an attempt is again a tricky and complicated question, which is an area of intense study. However, it can be stated that, save in some exceptional circumstances, criminal liability arises only when crime has reached the stage which is beyond preparation and has entered into the domain of attempt. जब मैं नाइफ लेके उस बंदे के पास चली गई, उसको मारने लगी, तो वो प्रिपरेशन के आगे जा चुकी है चीज़. ठीक है. एलिमेंट्स ऑफ क्राइम, गिल्टी एक्ट and guilty mind. So please remember, elements of crime, both these elements have to be present for an act, for a wrong act to qualify as a crime. If any one is present and other is not present, then it will not be known as a crime. So to be classified as a crime, act of doing something bad must be usually accompanied by intention to do something bad. That means action plus intention. I had the intention to kill him, I had killed him. When these both things get combined, then it qualifies as a crime. So I had an intention or knowledge. Mens rea is intention plus knowledge. I had an intention to kill him or do a wrong act. That is mens rea. I had done that act, I had killed him, that is an action, the wrong action that I had committed. A crime is said to exist usually when both these are present. As I told you, principle of actus reus and mens reus are embedded in a Latin maxim. Again, there is a maxim. Remember all these maxims or phrases or legal idioms. They are very important, and along with their meanings obviously. Actus non fecit reum nisi mens set rea, which means an act does not make one guilty unless the mind is also legally blameworthy. Means जब तक कि उसके मन में वो गलत काम करने का इंटेंशन या नॉलेज ना हो, तब तक सिर्फ उसका गलत एक्शन उसे क्राइम के लिए जिम्मेदार या गिल्टी नहीं माना जाएगा. ठीक है, इसीलिए बोलते हैं कि ये दोनों एलिमेंट्स ज़रूरी हैं एक रॉन्गफुल एक्ट को क्राइम के रूप में क्वालिफाई करने के लिए. इन अदर वर्ड्स, फॉर अ फिजिकल एक्ट टू बी टर्म्ड अ क्राइम, it must be accompanied by necessary mental element. Unless this mental element is present, no act is usually criminal in nature. So all crimes have a physical element. मतलब एक्शन तो है ही ना, हम मारेंगे, अगर मर्डर करना है तो कुछ ना कुछ फिजिकली तो हाथ चलाएंगे ना इंजरी करने के लिए. सो फिजिकल एलिमेंट तो है ही, लेकिन इंटेंशन भी होना चाहिए कि मुझे इसको मारना है, तभी मैं मार रही हूँ. So there should be a physical and mental element. Physical element is performing that wrongful act, and mental element is having an intention or knowledge in your mind. What is actus reus? Word actus connotes a deed which is a physical result of human contact. Res means forbidden by law. So actus means action, which is a physical performance of a particular action by the humans, and res means forbidden by law. Actus reus in common parlance means a guilty act. It is made up of three constituent parts: an action, result of that action, such act which is prohibited by law. So that is wrongful act, as I told you. Wrongful act that is forbidden or prohibited by law. So what action you are doing, आप उसको चाकू से मार रहे हैं, उस एक्शन का रिजल्ट क्या हुआ कि उस आदमी को ग्रेव इंजरी हुई या आपने इतना मारा कि वो मर गया. सो दैट इज द रिजल्ट ऑफ दैट एक्शन. एंड ऑब्वियसली किलिंग समबडी और कॉजिंग समबडी अ ग्रेव इंजरी, that is also prohibited by law. Therefore, one can say that actus reus is an act which is bad or prohibited, blameworthy or culpable. Now, there are certain unique situations when act in itself may appear to be a criminal act, yet it cannot be termed as actus reus. Illustrations. Now, I think I'm gonna start with these illustrations in the next video. Thank you.